Okay, recording started. Good morning, everyone, again. Welcome to the last second day, day 4 of our Unit 12, where we'll be talking about assessment task 1 of the unit called Apply Business Risk Management Processes for BSBOPS403 unit. Please write all the student detail here. It's called student assessment cover sheet, your signature and date when you are signing. Okay. This is all standard. This is all standard. Don't worry about it. Let's go to the main part. Okay, this assessment is to be completed based on your workplace or using simulated workplace provided. Your choice. Okay. For the following tasks, you are to consider what you and your team want to achieve next year. Identify risk involved, evaluate the risk, and complete the treatment action plan. The same thing as we learned in a topic yesterday. Yeah. Identify, evaluate, and risk and treatment action plan, how you will treat the risk. Okay. Someone just left. Okay, consider your role in an organization or a work team and your performance goal. We have completed this. When I say completed from my part at least. That's our unit 8. You can use that, work priorities. Reason for using is you are not creating something new. And if you had already achieved a satisfactory grade in that unit, that means you know the work was good. Just pick up those tasks which you had planned, the performance goal that you have set. Yeah, this is unit 8 again. Yeah, I can write it here if you want. Okay. Unit 8. Okay. If you are unsure, you can ask me. Otherwise, set up some realistic goal which you can complete. The manager could be your immediate manager, supervisor, director, anyone, literally. I'm not going to check on that, you know. It could be literally anyone who can comment here. No restriction on age or gender. For the following tasks, you are to consider what you and your team want to achieve next year. Like we said, there are 4 parts in this one. Yeah. Identify the associated risk involved and evaluate them. You will need to access the following sources: your organization structure and your role, relevant legislation, responsibility, organization policy protocol, vision mission statement, code of conduct, all these policies, privacy policy, environmental policy, health and safety policy. Okay. Australian standard, New Zealand standard, ISO 31000-2018 risk management principle and guideline. What these standards are, they are a guiding tool. They guide you how to run particular risk management. If you say we are ISO certified, okay, I'll tell you an easy way to understand this information. When I say, for example, that Peter is a good man, then my definition of good man and Gibson's definition of good man could be different, isn't it? Leela can't hear me. Lena, you can't hear me. Okay, right. Okay, but if we set up a system, right, that by good man, we mean that he respect women, he watch what he's saying, you know, he respect the junior and a senior equally, he treat everyone nicely, he is very humble, he always said Dushan is the greatest person on a planet, you know, all that thing, right? Whatever we set, right? So we set a criteria, a set of criteria. So whenever we say so-and-so person is good, that means he has to meet all these criteria, right? Similarly, for your assessment, when I say is satisfactory, that means I have made sure that you are meeting the role play requirement, the checklist requirement, you have submitted the Word document, everything that goes in there. So as long as I say the work is satisfactory, that means done and dusted, forget about that one. The same thing goes with ISO standard. When you say we are ISO certified, that means you are taking enough precautions, whatever due diligence that you need to do. It could be the safety, it could be the behavior of your work colleague, the structure, the progress, the pay rate, everything is taken care of. So rather than talking about 10 different points, I'll just say this is ISO certified. That means everything is taken care of. Okay. Then you need QLD government, pandemic risk management. The link is given here. Identifying business risk, again, link is here. Appendix A, Appendix B, and I have created Appendix C as well as a format for your assessment. Okay. To complete this assessment, read the scenario, follow the instruction below. It has been a difficult few years leading out of COVID pandemic. We know that very well. Given the uncertainty, your manager has asked you to develop risk management process for your work team or section of your next financial year. In order to do this, you will be required to research and collect information and data to take to stakeholders and clarify and confirm the process outcome of your risk management process. Because you develop it doesn't mean it's 100%. Right? If you consult with your team member, some senior expert, some senior member of the team as a consultation, right? Then they will provide some better input and you're like, okay, I missed on that one. Let me improve that. Yeah. As you work through the various part of this, collect this information and document it to enable you to present and discuss with your stakeholder. Okay. Part A, context behind the risk management process. I have written in bold and red, simply fill in Appendix C and A. I wrote them in order. I didn't write A and C because in C I have covered everything and A has some of their task 1.1 as well. Okay, let's see what is this. So again, what we are trying to do, we are trying to cover the risk management process. Task 1.1, define your scope. To customize the risk management process to your own work team, it is important to define the scope of the process. What do you and your team want to achieve out of risk management process? Okay, let me quickly take you through Appendix C and A. This is Appendix A. I'm just minimizing a bit, which is task 1.6A, 1.6B, 1.6C, D, E, F. Okay, it covers 1.6 here, 1.7 is here, 1.8 is here. Okay, this is FYI kind of thing, risk management. And I created Appendix C, which wasn't there on the original task, but I created for you. So task 1.1, define your scope. What do you and your, it's the same thing about there. I just copy and pasted it here for your convenience, right? So A goes here, B goes here, C and D. I have created enough space for all of you. This is A, this is B, yeah? This is C, and this is D. Yeah, then again, A, B, C, D. So you're writing your responses A, B, C, D here. So you don't have to scroll up and down. The Appendix C will take care of that. A, B, C, D, E, everything is here. A, B, you know. So we just fill in Appendix C first because that talks about 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, then part B, 1.4, A and B. Yeah. Then 1.5, you got A, B, and C. Why do I have a bit more? That's fine, I can delete one of them. Okay, that's fine, I'll take care of it later. B and C. Yeah, then you got 1.678 is just above there. Yeah, so read there, go back to the appendix and start filling it. Okay, I'll explain each of them here. Right, what do you and your team want to achieve out of this risk management process? Whenever we are talking about risk management process, the ultimate aim is to minimize and take care of the risk, minimize the impact of the risk, isn't it? Yeah. What is the legislative regulatory context? So you're talking about the legal part, legal aspect of it. What resources do you need in terms of the skill, experience, information, and extra training? All the resources will go here. And who will you need to consult with to obtain the right information? Again, let me once again go to Appendix C. What you are doing, I have covered that here. A is a response for this, B is for this, what resources is C, and consultation is D. If you need more space, enter, 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 and that will allow a bit of space. Yeah? Okay. 1.2, define the internal risk criteria. Take time to read over your organization's value, objective, and policy documents. Describe the organization's performance goal for your work team. What are your KPIs? The targets, the KPI. Briefly describe the culture. What are you proud of? Are there any challenges? We might be proud of something for sure, and there should be some challenges as well. So you're talking about the work culture, what are you proud of, and any challenges. So 3 parts here. Yeah. What are you responsible for according to the workplace policy and code of conduct? And what are the legal responsibilities of your role? Right? So if, for example, Elizabeth is working in immigration department, so her responsibility is to make sure no one enters the country. I mean, one of the responsibility of the immigration department, not necessarily her, is to ensure no one enters the country without proper paperwork. If you don't have the right visa, if you're not allowed to enter, you shouldn't be in the country border, right? That's the same thing goes for the custom department. So they would have ensured any flight coming to Solomon, even if the flight is coming from Brisbane to Solomon on Yarra, then the Brisbane staff will ensure that you don't board the flight, you don't go on a flight if you don't have the right visa or the paperwork or vaccination. That's the responsibility of the Brisbane staff. How will they do it? Because the immigration department up there or the custom department will not allow the passenger to come in the border. They'll have to go back to the return flight, and they will have some penalty to the flight members and the Brisbane team. This is how it works. Yeah, so just talk about a bigger aspect of legal responsibility. Again, when you go to Appendix C, there's 1.2 is here, A, B, C, D, they go with it. Just fill in the table. Yeah. 1.3, understand the external risk factor. This was about internal risk factor. That's a different. This is internal, this is external. When designing a framework of managing risk, you need to understand where your project or role sits within external context. Briefly describe the factors describing that affect your organization. Economic influence and downturn and uncertainty. If there is any uncertainty, economic downturn, like it happened last year, COVID, early this year, right? How it will impact on what you are doing. Another factor, including climate change and natural disaster. I was not aware until last year that there is a country like Kiribati. I'll be very honest, right? And how it's structured. It's just like everywhere is water. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Kiribati. Yeah, it's everywhere water, just a tiny bit of land. And on the other side is ocean. This side is a lagoon full of water. If the water level rises, which it is because of the environmental factor, climate changes, maybe 5-10 years, the whole island will be wiped out. All those people who would have really worked hard, right, would have to migrate to some other countries. Yeah, just imagine you work and live there for 50, 100 years, generation to generation, and just because some part of the world is not taking care of the climate change, right, not doing their bit, the other part of the world is paying the price. How fair it is. Yeah, all your houses, everything. And do you think everyone can migrate to some country? Do you think it's that easy? Yeah, not everyone can migrate to other countries for sure. Okay, so you're talking about those things, right? Security factors including theft, fraud, loss of intellectual property, terrorism, extortion, and online security and fraud. If there is an online data breach, what will happen, right? Or fraud, or theft, or terrorism attack. Market trend and competition, key stakeholder, supplier, customer, and clients. Okay. All good with part A, 1.123? Any question? Everyone good? Everyone happy? I'll take silence as a happy. Okay, good. Right, part B. See, when there is no response, you can take it in however you want. If there is response, then it's clear. This is what you mean. But if there is no response, I'll take it out. Everyone is fine. Yeah? Part B, take the steps to identify risk. Now that you have a firm idea of the context behind the risk process, it is time to recognize and describe risk that may stop you from achieving your goals. You will need to have your business policies, work procedure, and local legislation handy for this section. You will also need to refer to this principal guideline and this website which was mentioned above. Yeah. Select and use the tools to identify a risk. Use the pestle technique to identify one internal, one external risk factor. I would like someone to tell me what is pestle. Someone tell me what is pestle, P-E-S-T-L-E. We have covered it. P for political, E for economic, S for social, T for technological, L for legal or legislative, and E for environmental. P-E-S-T-L-E. Right, I'll write a full form of pestle. Political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Okay. The work from my village, the version in my village is different to this one because I have modified this. I have added appendix C, which is not there on my village. So don't worry. Once I'm finished, I'll share this copy with everyone. No, that is, I mean, you don't have to follow this copy. The my village is absolutely fine, but I just created an appendix. So it's easier for you guys to input your answer. Yeah? Okay, so that's about pestle. Choose another risk management tool or technique to identify risk in your. So we are talking about pestle to cover all those factors like political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental, right? One internal, one external. You're writing a lot here, even though seems like 1.4a. Okay. And then you are talking about another risk management factor. Just research that and come up with something unique. Okay. Identify key risk. From the information you gathered so far, identify three risks. Again, one internal and two external. Internal, external, internal, external. That you believe are important enough to investigate further. Internal, why do you think that this internal risk is important? Okay, so with 1.5, I'm not sure what I've done here. Okay, so I'll just write it here. Risk and reason. Yeah. Oops, don't go. have to close some of the window. Got so many things open all the time. Okay. Okay. Risk A, internal, and what's the reason you believe that that has to be, investigated further. Yeah. Right. Let's go up. So that's your 1.5. All good so far? Okay. Now part C. Analyze and evaluate risk. Part C is appendix. I should be clear here. Part A is simply appendix C, not A. Right, complete a risk register. During the early stages of risk management process, we document all identified risk using a risk register, as we discussed yesterday, right? This assists in analysis evaluation of risk by categorizing them and determining level of risk. We have prepared a template for you, which includes the risk metric and 3 risks below. Okay, what you are doing, write in the risk in the reason from task 1.5, the first 2 column in the risk register, determine the owner of the risk, who is responsible for the risk. Okay, analyze each risk, determine the likelihood, how often the probability that will happen, each of the risk identified to determine consequences, the effect. This could be an actual cause, simple cause and effect, loss of market share, loss of customer, loss of your job, determine the level of risk and any relevant legislation. All this 1.6 is captured here. Key risk, reason, who owns the risk, likelihood, consequences, type of risk, and legislation. If you need more space, I think you will. I mean, just get rid of the example when you are doing it. Yeah, get rid of them. I should have them in gray. Yeah, when you're writing it, just get rid of the example. Okay, so that's your task 1.6. 1.7, preliminary risk evaluation. Consider your risk register and section 6. That's ISO. I can find that link for you. Okay, so what you will have to do, I share the link here. I should share it here as well. The link is here for ISO thing. On the left-hand side, you will be able to see a table of content that you should go to a risk evaluation. Okay. I pasted in a chat. And I'll paste them here as well. We'll have some different font. The gray is fine. Yeah. Section from ISO. I mean, you can refer more. That's why I'm giving the link as well. But if you're just talking about risk evaluation, it's here. Okay. So that's a risk evaluation. Do nothing further. The purpose of the risk evaluation is to support decision. Risk evaluation involves comparing the result of the risk analysis with the established risk criteria to determine where additional action is required, right? You might be able to see, oh, you can't do anything further. If someone is in the last stage of the, I shouldn't pick up this example, sorry. Let me come with something. Like we say, it's a gone case. You can't do anything further. Yeah, you tried so hard to run a business. You invested so much dollars, so much time, and then you feel like, no, I'm not still being rewarded. It's a gone business. I can't do any further with that. Yeah, then it's a case, do nothing further, or consider some restatement option, or further analysis, maintain existing control, or reconsider objective. Okay, this is a section of ISO 31000-2018. Taking into account the wider context, record the risk register recommendation to either undertake further study, consider risk treatment, maintain existing control, and reconsider the objective. Okay, so when you go here, 1.7, you're writing responses here, just the actions that is required. Cool. And the final part, consult with the stakeholder. You are to meet or stimulus a meeting with your manager supervisor, right? And one other stakeholder. Okay, so with your manager and one another stakeholder to represent the risk you created, seek the feedback on your research and risk treatment. So that's a meeting. During the conversation, you need to provide a summary of your finding in each of the tasks above, 1.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You are providing a summary. You are not reading word by word. There's a difference in a summary and the essay. You're not reading whole essay. Otherwise, your video will be very long, right? You're talking about the scope, that's the summary, risk criteria, external factor, right? Throughout the meeting, answer reasonable question from your stakeholder that is required and seek feedback on your finding and process. This activity is observed to be observed by your assessor. While you're recording, that's it. You don't have to record anything further. For stimulus meeting, the role of text can be played by colleague, that we know it. When summarize the outcome of the meeting in the feedback consultation with stakeholder, risk register, make any required adjustment to the register. So let's look at 1.8. Who was consulted, and record the main point of the discussion, which can help you with your script writing as well, isn't it? Yeah. This is risk management process. We are talking about communication and consultation, monitoring review, scope context, then there is a risk assessment, risk treatment, and recording and reporting. Yeah, they go all like in a cycle. That is our task 1, AT1. Any question, comments?